Welcome in, Locked On 76ers, Keith Payne, Marc Farzetta. The 76ers now all of a sudden getting back to being guard happy with another guard added in just 2 days, 2 guards. We'll break it all down in this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do want to thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Keith Payne, longtime 76ers beat writer, Marc Farzetta, longtime sports talker with you in the city of brotherly love. And this particular episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today, Keith, we're going to talk about what could be next for the 76ers after a couple of deals here made by the front office, including Jabari Walker's deal getting converted from a two-way to a standard, now 2-year contract with the Sixers. And we talked about Cameron Payne yesterday being added to the Sixers. We saw the reports that were out there. Now it's officially official. And now how about this? Another Tyrese in the fold. Tyrese Martin joining the 76ers on a 2-way contract after he was waived by the Brooklyn Nets. So much to get into here. First, let's tie off some loose ends here when it comes to Cameron Payne. What do you know about the Sixers making that acquisition to add to their front court or back court, excuse me?
I mean, kind of like what we talked about yesterday. I mean, but I kind of like the deal because here's the thing. When you look at it, who were some of the other guards out there? I mean, Lonzo Ball was a guy that people brought up. Russell Westbrook, if he was bought out. So when we look at it, you look at Cameron Payne, it's one of those things where I'm pretty sure he's going to speak to the media tomorrow. But it's one of those things where you look at it and you say, look, we need a guard. We need somebody who, can get out there, can play at an up-tempo style, someone who is familiar with Nick Nurse. And, from basically what was out there, he's a good pickup, and someone who, let's think about it. Moving forward, he can use this as an audition to see if he can, make it back with the 76ers next year or for another team. So, when you look at it, you say to yourself, who else is out there? And I didn't see a lot of great options from the guard spot. But whereas you have him, he's someone who can fit in and do things that the 76ers are comfortable with.
Yeah, 2 things that I've realized. One, we did talk about yesterday when it comes to Cameron Payne. I'm happy he's here. I never wanted him gone. And I know a lot of people in our chat felt the same way. A lot of people that commented on the show after we did the show, they also felt that same way. So, number one, I'm happy. I think it's a good addition. I never wanted him to leave. Number 2, do you think it would have been received a little bit differently after the Sixers traded Jared McCain if it went down as such? They trade Jared McCain, they get the first-round pick, they get the 3 second-round picks, and then that same day, maybe after nothing else materialized, like Daryl Morey put it, they went and they got Cameron Payne. And at least they had somebody that could, handle the ball for them. They have somebody that can knock down that 3, immediately come in and help the team as opposed to going through about, a week and a half, 2 weeks of being not as good as you were before the trade deadline. Do you think Cam Payne being added earlier would have eased the tension made after the trade of Jared McCain?
I don't think so because, at the end of the day, when we look at this, we look at the moves that the 76ers made. They basically got rid of 2 players to give, their 2-way players standard deals, and then they picked up Cam Payne, right? I feel like people probably would have felt like, well, if you guys were so excited about Cam Payne, then why did you not sign him sooner when you had an open, roster spot? The thing is, you went ahead and you got these extra picks and, draft picks, and you're not utilizing them as of right now. You'd probably be able to use them later. That's the hope. So I feel like if they would have done that then, people would have been disappointed. I think it played out. It played out great for them because what they're doing is they're able to get like they weren't able to get anyone. Now all of a sudden you got Campaign, so it's kind of like he's the savior. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a way you can look at it. The other part of this is the other guard that they just added and getting more to the news of the day, Tyrese Martin, formerly of the Nets, formerly of the Hawks as well. He's joining the 76ers now on a two-way contract. Your reaction to seeing that news being out there?
It's a guy that they're going to look at. You know what I mean? You know, he's an NBA guy. You know, someone that they'll. I mean, I'm looking at all three of these two-way guys now as three guys who they have in the fold. You get an extended look at them to see if there's someone that you want to bring back next year or things like that. You know, unless they make some changes, none of these guys are going to be able to play in the playoffs. So to me, I just look at it as if they got somebody that they're going to be able to, just get an extended look at.
Yeah, a little background on Tyrese Martin, 6'6" guard. He is fresh off the Nets after being waived. He is out of William Allen High School in Allentown, so not too far outside Philadelphia. He was waived by the Hawks, the team that originally had him. Then he was waived by the Timberwolves, and then most recently the Brooklyn Nets. He did have the name jumped out to me for something other than William Allen, and sure enough, 16 points against the 76ers back on the 28th of November. Then he also dropped 7 points against the Sixers on the 23rd of December. That was one of the big home collapses at the hands of a team there that you should have beaten, and one of those was against the Brooklyn Nets, and it was against Tyrese Martin. Something else about him, he has a couple of 5 3-pointers made. It was a couple of those games this season where he's made at least 5 3-pointers, a couple more where he's made at least 4. Look, there's not a lot of positivity you could bring around a guy that's been waived by 3 different teams, but just evaluating his own game, he's got a 30-point game under his belt. He can get hot from beyond the arc. One of the things I like about his game, he's got a nice little stutter step trying to get through the lane. But bottom line, again, Keith, this is just a guy who has been waived by 3 different teams very recently.
I think when we talk about two-way players, though, these are actual like NBA guys. So this, you can arguably say that this is the best group of two-way players that they have, right?
There you go.
So these are guys that when we're looking at the 76ers, even like we're talking about all 5 of them, like even Barlow and Walker. So when you look at these guys, they're all guys who can help them and guys that they'll probably see like, hey, are you guys going to be able to, stick around and prove to us that you are building blocks? But it also tells you how tough it is right now out there. Like, here are guys who got waived, right? There's nobody saying we want you in the buyout market. Right now it's like you got to take a two-way. So that's the crazy part about it. So it is what it is. But the only thing is it's hard to get extremely excited about them just because they don't, like, two-way guys don't play in the playoffs. And Sixers are making roster moves for the playoffs. So when we look at this thing, nothing against Campaign. I love Campaign. But the 76ers were saying that they were going to get better, and they wanted to add to what the team is. And they did bring in, 2 more two-way guys, and then they got Campaign. But if we really want to talk about them for their playoff race, the 76ers, the only addition they made was Campaign. And, like, great guy. I like his high energy. I like his motor. I like all that other stuff. But when you look at it, it's kind of like that's what they did. They got Campaign. They brought him back. A guy to be – you basically replaced Jared McCain with Campaign. That's what they did. You know what I mean?
And they got a first-round pick and 3 seconds in the process. And, of course, giving up on the future of what Jared McCain could develop into his NBA career. When we come back, we're going to talk about this deal now with Jabari Walker, getting that converted not only to a two-way or from a two-way deal, now a standard NBA 2-year deal. So we'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers. And right now I want to tell you about Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still open. When there's pressure like this, you need Indeed-sponsored jobs. Indeed-sponsored jobs help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for with skills, experience, and location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across the post. What you're hoping is that the perfect fit stumbles across the post, and makes it all that much easier when you have Indeed-sponsored jobs. How about this? In the time I've been talking to you already about Indeed-sponsored jobs, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed-sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. That's called efficiency, people. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed-sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job in the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On 76ers. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed-sponsored jobs. 'Tis the wonderful time of year to tell you about TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day and get back to some fun things, non-tax things. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without all the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person, or you can connect online. It is 2026, after all. They can handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms, and they work to get you every deduction. You can upload your forms, and you can go about your day and on your merry way, as a matter of fact. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. That's TurboTax.com/local. Keith, was there ever really a doubt that Jabari Walker's deal would get converted from a two-way deal to a standard NBA deal? Ever a doubt in your mind this would happen?
There was some doubt. I mean, at one point, I felt like if they felt like they can get somebody, someone who fulfilled a need on the buyout market, I felt like he could have been gone. And it's funny, Nick Nurse, not Nick Nurse, Daryl Morey did kind of say when he at the trade deadline, press conference he had afterwards, it wasn't like he was 100% sold on him. Like he said, it's basically, and I'm paraphrasing, like they got to make a tough decision. You know what I mean? Like depending on who they got. So I felt like that there was a chance that he probably wouldn't have come back and couldn't come back. Now, again, I'm pretty sure people say, oh, you don't worry about it. We're going to, you're our guy. You're going to do this. We're just trying to get the money right. We're trying to do all these other things. My question is, if that was the case, then how come you didn't do it sooner, right? If your mind was made up, why didn't you do it sooner, right? So to me, I just felt like if they could have got somebody better, they probably would have. Now here, and I'm basing this off of, if you notice, when everyone was healthy, he was racking up DMPs towards the end. So to me, it's like, yeah, you gave him this contract and everything like that, but are you going to utilize him? You know what I mean? Are you going to use him? Now, right now, it looks like they need him because Paul George isn't playing, and let's face it, he is a quality rebounder. He plays with energy. He plays with a lot of other things. But I kind of felt like if they could have felt like they could have gotten the upgrade they probably would have, in my opinion.
Yeah, the thing that jumps out to me about Jabari Walker is he looks like a guy, and I don't think this is going to change anything, but he looks like a guy that's always auditioning. Like, he looks like he's always trying to put his best foot forward. We might not always see it, but he's always out there hustling. He's always out there busting it for the rebounds. He's always trying to D up, obviously, on the defensive end of things. So he is certainly a guy that's similar, though not as good, especially this year, as a guy like Dominic Barlow. He is still of that same type of motor where he's just doing whatever he can to try to help the team win. And that's one thing I can certainly appreciate. After Dom Barlow, and you've talked about this before, after Dom Barlow beat him out for the job essentially in the early goings of the season, he didn't hang his head, he didn't sulk, he just thought, all right, how can I get better? And when you talk about a guy coming in to maybe get some rebounds, we've seen a little bit less of Andre Drummond. I mean, he's still center of this team, especially if you don't have Joel Embiid in the mix for whatever reason. But Jabari Walker's come off the bench, giving you good minutes, and I was glad to see the Sixers reward another player off the two-way contract and make him a standard NBA deal.
Yeah. And I mean, and the thing is, we got to realize that we felt like from the beginning that was always the goal, right? But to me, it just seems like, he can help them out. He can do a lot of different things, but at the same time, I don't think it was always. Now, they may come out and say, hey, we always wanted them. We always had them. You know what I mean? But I don't think that was always like a done deal as they may say it was going to be.
I felt like there was a 3-week period surrounding the trade deadline. The week leading, like the week before the week the trade deadline was, that week and the week after. And they're like, all right, this is what we got. And we're rolling with it. I think there was a 3-week period where it was in question. And compared to the whole season, that's not a lot, but it is the most important time when you're talking about who's going to be on this roster going forward. Do you think he has anything else to offer the Sixers, or do you think we've already seen maybe the highest level we could see from him in a Sixers uniform?
No, I think it's funny. Here's the thing. I think that what he is going to do is his role that he has, a rebounder, a guy who can knock down shots. Like, if he can do that, he's going to be useful for him. Like, they need somebody who is going to be an energy guy, a guy who's not going to be afraid to defend. I mean, we think about it. Look at Cooper Flagg. He shut Cooper Flagg down when they came to Philly, right? He played phenomenal role. I think this is who this guy is and who he's going to be. The question is, though, is what's going to happen when you have everyone available and it's kind of like you need somebody to do a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, or because what's going to happen is, like, when Paul George comes back and is playing, you're going to need Jabari, you're going to need Dominic Barlow to be that guy coming off the bench, right? But also you're going to need Trendon Watford in regards to his ball handling deal too, like his ability to handle the ball. So my thing is, are you going to say, all right, well, Trendon, sit the bench. We're not going to use you because we want another rebounder. We want another energy guy. You understand what I'm saying? So I just feel like what he is for the Sixers is he's going to continue to be a situational player for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would certainly think so, especially with Barlow still being here as well. When we come back, we will talk about what is next for the 76ers and also get into whether or not there should be some concern about Joel Embiid. I want to touch on that when we come back. This is Locked On 76ers and the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Back after this. Time to tell you about FanDuel. And boy, oh boy, ever since the All-Star break, ever since the All-Star game ended, I should say, I've just been thinking about the NBA Finals, how great it would be to be there at the NBA Finals in person. Guess what, fans? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. You use a profit boost on any NBA futures on FanDuel, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, tickets, and the whole experience, courtesy of FanDuel. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about, what do I like here? This is the perfect time to lock it in with FanDuel. I love the futures this time of year, especially when the picture is starting to get a little bit more clear, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement every time you turn on an NBA game. So check it out on FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app. And now not only can you pick cash, but it also allows you to go to the finals. You have a chance to go to the finals when you visit FanDuel.com and get started and use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And how about the Everydayer Club? We certainly hope you guys are taking advantage of this as well with LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. Make sure you guys are signing up to be Everydayer Club members. Ad-free episodes of Locked On 76ers when you guys sign up to be part of the Everydayer Club at LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. So leading into the All-Star break, Keith, there was some conversation about Joel Embiid. And before we get to anything else this team could do, if anything, do you think there's any cause for concern outside the norm of the cause for concern that surrounds Joel Embiid? Just your hunch, is there anything out there about Joel Embiid that we should be concerned about going into this unofficial second half of the season?
You know, I think you're always going to be somewhat concerned with Joel. Right. I mean, you have to be. I mean, because, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, as good as Joel has been playing as of late, he missed the last two games before the All-Star break because of right knee, management, right knee swelling. Right.
A non-back-to-back. Yeah.
And non-back-to-back. And, you know, he has yet to play a season where he has been injury-free. He has yet to be in a postseason where he didn't have any injuries. So with that being said, yeah, you got to always be a little concerned with Joel because, you know, here's the thing. You know, we look at it. This team is a team that early on, we felt like they were much better without Joel. And then next thing you know, they lost 6 of their last 7 when he hasn't played. So it's one of those things where no matter how good Tyrese Maxey is playing, you know, Tyrese Maxey is an all-star starter. He put on a show at the all-star games. But at the same time, the 76ers' fate rests on Joel Embiid's health and him playing at a high level. So with that being said, there's always going to be concern based on his injury history.
Being with what time of year it is, and being that the Sixers just converted 2 different two-way players recently, and being that they just added Payne, being that they added Dalen Terry not too long ago, and they just added Tyrese Martin, is there anything else the Sixers could do between now and the postseason, Keith, or is this the roster going forward?
Well, it's crazy. So the 76ers would have to sign a buyout guy by March the 1st, right? In order for that person to basically be able to be eligible for the playoffs, right? So what if the 76ers feel like somebody's not panning out for them, and if someone doesn't like their role, they got over 11 days before they have to make a decision on this guy. So I do feel like that, although on paper it looks like everything is done, and in the perfect world you would think everything is done, but I also feel like the 76ers got to go out there and see what they can do and see if this is going to work out, right? Because with Payne, he's a different type of player from Jared McCain. Right now, the one thing I will say about the Sixers is they have the 8th easiest schedule for the rest of the season. So things should be on the up and up for them. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself, did you make the upgrades needed for you to win a championship? You know what I mean? You only made one upgrade, and is Payne good enough? Is Payne the missing link for you guys to win a championship? And I just feel like they may need a little bit more help in the role player category. If they're going to go out there and try to win a chip.
Yeah, I would say you're exactly right with needing a little bit more help. And I'll also add the obvious to it, just for people that need to hear it. They're also going to need a little bit of health in order to make a championship run. No doubt about that. Keith Pompey, always a pleasure catching up with you. I'm Marc Farzetta. This is Locked On 76ers. We hope you guys like and subscribe. And for the people asking, yes, we are taping this live on YouTube as we speak. It's 8:39 in the p.m. Tuesday night. This is my fault. I take full responsibility. My schedule's all over the place this week. So, Keith, I appreciate your flexibility. Audience, listeners, viewers, I appreciate your flexibility in catching us right here on Locked On 76ers. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Same time, by the way, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, make sure you guys sign up for the Everydayer Club at LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. Catch you guys tomorrow. See you then.